Hi, bright lights. Welcome to today's video. My name is Tina. I'm so grateful to have you here and watching. In today's video, we're going to discuss the masculine and feminine energy and how the alignment between the two basically affects us. How does that work for us? The first thing I would like to emphasize is that we all carry masculine and feminine energy, and this has nothing to do with being a man or a woman. Both of these energies are within us. And so it's extremely useful to bring it into our awareness what these energies embody and how to tell when we are out of alignment with them. Please keep in mind that no one is precisely balanced between the masculine and feminine. It's like a sliding scale. We're always moving between them depending on what is happening around us. And just in general, some people tend to do better with more of their feminine qualities or their feminine energies, while others will gravitate towards the masculine. It all comes back to our soul contracts and how those are set up, because that also plays a part. But that's why awareness is paramount. It is the more awareness we can build as to how these energies work, how it's maybe throwing us out of alignment so that we can figure out how to maximize and get the most optimal energies to make our lives kind of ebb and flow in a more natural way. So, I first want to look at what is divine feminine energy. Well, divine feminine energy is based on the cycles just in general, it's a very cycling type of energy, and it's tied to the moon energy, which is about connection. The energy is directed inward. It's very idealistic, intuitive, and spiritual. It's very nurturing and assuring at the same time. It's expressive and flexible, sensitive and creative. It is gentle and kind, soft and loving. It has great wisdom and patience. It allows and receives very easily. This is about allowing the flow. It is a very healing energy. And it's really about carrying emotion and going to the depths of your emotions to reveal what is hidden. It is all about being. So let's kind of correlate that to the masculine energy. What is divine masculine energy? Divine masculine energy projects itself outward. It is sun energy. It's warm. It's generosity, it's positive action and patience, it's decisive and calm energy, it's secure and confident, it is, like I said, generous and giving, it's logical and analytical, it has good reason and stability within. It is a firmness but with compassion. It is paternal and protective. It is strength and safety. It is a strong will and courage. It is practical and structured. It is disciplined and responsible, organized and reliable. It is all about positive doing. So now we have the being and the doing. So these energies, from a scientific perspective, are attributed to our brain. The left side, which is the masculine side, which is that logic, reasoning, analytical, that's tied to the languages, and which is structure, and the right side, which is the feminine side, which is more artistic and spiritual and governs our emotions. When you are in alignment with your divine feminine, this is what embodies you to be very magnetic, extremely creative, and you can attract to you whatever it is that you want simply by allowing and believing you are ready to have it. And feeling. Feeling is a big part of it, emotion is. So when you're out of alignment with your divine feminine energy, and that can be as we all know, related to trauma or dysfunctional patterns that were imprinted onto you. And yes, men, this can be you too. You can be in your out of balance with your feminine energy. And how does that show up? You're easily overruled and manipulated. You're unable to say no. You can't implement boundaries. You basically feel unworthy of support. You avoid conflict to keep the peace. You feel powerless to make changes. You don't trust your instincts, so you ask everyone else what you should do. You may focus on others while ignoring your own self-care completely. You evade your deepest needs and the needs of others. You may have a deep sense of loneliness and isolation. You are disorganized and scattered or unable to feel joy. And these aren't all encompassing. If you even recognized one of these, you are out of alignment. And I can pick out things out of that list that resonate with me, with boundaries, and never wanted to make any conflict, felt very much the victim and powerless in my life at times. And so, again, we really want to come back to this mindfulness and recognizing these shadow sides of our personalities, because, again, that feminine energy is so powerful and so creative and so fertile. It is, and people, musicians and artists, they can really oscillate into that energy. But again, it is just a beautiful energy, and it can make you so powerful. And I know in our culture that is not, the feminine and isn't looked at as being powerful, but it is in its complete divine aspect, just like the masculine is. It's a balancer. So let's talk a little bit about that divine masculine energy. And so, if you're in alignment with the divine masculine energy, you can take on a very decisive, calm, positive action, not in an aggressive or angry way, but based on confidence and compassion and patience. You structure your life in a way that provides organization and security. You believe in something much greater than yourself, and you are a concerned person. You protect and you provide for your family and your community and those in need. You feel very strong and stable in this energy, and it is also a very empowering energy to have. Now, when you are out of alignment with your masculine, and ladies, you also need to pay attention to this too, because in our culture, women have taken on more masculine traits in order to survive, because it has been built on capitalism, and it's built on doing and achievement and competition and those things. So people tend to, even women, get way out of line in their masculine energy. It's really a need, again, with the feminine energy rising to balance these two out. And so what happens when you are in your on the out of balance, out of alignment with your masculine side, or they sometimes call it toxic masculinity? Fear takes over, and you creates conflict with others. You may need to be aggressively right all the time, and you're very reactive. You're always defending the old ways and why something needs to be the way it is. You have a deep need for control, totally focused on outcomes and winning at all costs. Measures yourself by accomplishments. Excessive pushiness, a workaholic, I can relate to that. Has to correct others, overthinking and overanalyzing, I can do that as well. Impulsive and restless, I can be very impulsive and restless. Not willing to take advice, unable to compromise, need to push or use force, setting unrealistic goals, emotionally withdrawn, boisterous and loud, having to be the best, and imposing their will on others with a pattern of rebellion. So I mean, I think most people can see a little bit of themselves in that when like I said, this is a sliding scale. So in its most extreme case, then you have wars happening, you have the just, destruction of people, ethnic cleansings going on. That's that extreme side, and then to balance that out, the extreme side of the toxic femininity, that's manipulation using, your body to control others through sex. It can be, like I said, evading your deepest needs and the needs of those around you, because again, feminine energy is very nurturing, and it's caring for others. So those can get to be very extreme energies. And the main goal here is that mindfulness to recognize when you're out of alignment. Most people can feel when they're out of alignment because things are not going well in your life. If you're not, it's like if you've ever driven in a car that's out of alignment, it's a pretty rough ride. So that first off is showing you that there's something going on in your life. And most likely part of it is this imbalance going on where you're overcompensating in one area for what you're missing in the other. And so let's talk just briefly about how do we heal those parts of us if you're recognizing, like I recognize the workaholic, this, sometimes it's correcting others, making sure that it's not about making you feel you're right. There's things that we need to look at within ourselves. Unable to compromise, have a deep need for control. But there's some other things like, overthinking and overanalyzing. I have a very active mind, so I I definitely have to be mindful. And so how I do that is all day, every day. Now I practice daily mindfulness, and that means I do periodic check-ins, whether I set sometimes if I know I'm going to have a really busy day at work, I set alarms on my phone just to little check-ins. How am I feeling? How are things going? Do I feel in the flow? Am I anxious? Am I stressed? Am I taking things too seriously? Am I overanalyzing? It's a lot of self-reflection, but that's the first tool. A lot of people do a lot of journaling to start to get into their feelings and about what maybe they think is not working in their life. And so what does the feminine need to do? If you're really on that toxic side of the feminine, you are feeling very powerless. You are, again, you can't make changes in your life and those types of things. It really means that you're very shut down, and you need to open your heart because the feminine is very heart centered. And, heart chakra meditations are great. Affirmations for self-worth, building that confidence and being able to set boundaries and things. And affirmations I'm a big affirmation person because your unconscious was a sponge when you were little and you took on so much of this negative programming. You can change that by listening to subliminal messaging in positive way and doing a lot of affirmations. I've used a lot of Louise Hay's, love of the self. Look, there's mirror work you can do. There's so many things you can do to heal yourself, and so to get back into more of the feminine, we recommend playing with children. There's no better way than, me whipping out a game and playing Candyland with my grandchildren. That is so much fun. But again, if you're a burnt out mother, that may not be the best tool for you. You may need something that you need to do for yourself, like a yoga class, an art class, to get back into that creative flow of the feminine with the ideas and, planting all of the fertile seeds in the world. You may need a dance class because dancing, sensual dancing can put you into your feminine energy. Cooking can put you into your because that's a very creative activity and it's very grounding. Any group or counseling group or community group can be helpful too you're because women are all about connection and community. You may need, you may need to connect with a trauma specialist one-on-one to dig deeper if you really, really can't get out of an abusive relationship, or you can't, say no, or you can't have any assertiveness, because again, you may need an assertiveness course. Martial arts can also be helpful for women because it gives them that sense of worth and a sense of true power. And boxing can release a lot of anger and pent up resentment to opening up the flow to your power. So where you can start setting boundaries, reconnecting with nature, gardening, walking, like I said, dancing and swaying. There are very many things you can do, starting that spiritual practice, mindfulness practice. A spiritual meditation practice is critical for people who want to change their life. It's these little things that do the most work. You can go to a therapist. Not everyone does great in just talk therapy. You might need a divine healing, or like I said, a trauma specialist. There's many ways, a person who's an expert in narcissism, if you tend to attract in narcissists, that can be its own specialized area. So just here to give you guys suggestions to help. So for men, though, men need to take a step back. And so for them, if you're too much into your toxic masculine, it's about doing meditation, doing the Ho'oponopono meditation to release trapped energy. That is a wonderful meditation to do. I talked about that on one of the inner child videos that I did. That's really critical for healing that wounded toxic masculine. And all of the other things that I was saying, a yoga class would be really great for people who are way too competitive. And I was there too. I was in my masculine pretty heavily. It's hard not to be in our culture. And I love to exercise because movement is very good for me, with my soul contract and the energies that I carry there. But again, I was starting to get in competing, and that can take a toll on your self-worth. And so you have to be very careful about, men. I would prefer to see them start to do more of that yoga class, taking an art class to back out a little bit of that masculine. And then the women getting into more of the masculine, you may want to start, boxing and the martial arts to take that power, like we had talked about with the feminine, and taking your power back. And so for men, um, you know, any they have to start with to believing in something greater than themselves, starting to give away some of that fear and dominance, that there is something greater going on out there. There's also a really good book. I had pulled that up here, and it's called Iron John, a book about men, and it is written by Robert Bly. I'll put a link, I'll put a description of that in the description box below. And that book I was highly recommended by someone that has done some work on their wounded masculine, that toxic masculine side. And that is, men are starting to form some groups as well to get out of this survival mode and to get out into nature and healing. And, any type of a club, you know, getting out to nature, but finding a group where they're doing more healing of the masculine and more because the masculine is so needed, that protective and structured thinking, putting structure to our lives and the security, and that is so needed here. But it has just been so much on the wounded side with the conquering and the pillaging and the it's all about me and this over consumption, this unnecessary consumption that we kind of are spiraling into. And so my great hope is that all of the men can, the real masculines, because I tend to gravitate more to the feminine, but that they do their work because we need both of us. This is a unity effort here. It's not all about the women taking over or anything like that. It's just balancing these energies and doing it together. The men have to restructure now. What does it mean to be a man where there can be connection to family and to the feminine energy for that creativity to flow? So I hope that made some sense. And I just wanted to end. I didn't want this to be a really long video. I just had felt there was a lot of struggle between the feminine and the masculine. And I just wanted to give some basics out there as to what the two are, and a few things on talking about how it shows up when it's out of alignment. But I'd like to end with a incantation that you can say if you recognize something that I had brought up that you may be out of balance. I invite you to repeat this prayer that I said, because we have the power to heal ourselves, and it's through an ask and receive type of mentality, because we have many guides on the other side who are waiting for us to ask them for their help and healing teams. And so this is what my incantation for today's video is going to be. May I be shown where I am out of alignment in my energies, so that I may balance the female and male energies within me, with the excess being returned to the source of its origin and healed to completion now. Thank you. I'm going to say it one more time. May I be shown where I am out of alignment in my energies, so that I may balance the female and male energies within me, with the excess being returned to the source of its origin and healed to completion now. Thank you. So I hope this helped, maybe getting in your own mind what the energies are all about. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.